up, everybody? Welcome in. A-Rec here. Alright, so today we're going to be flying from Hollister, California to Visalia, California. And we're going to be doing it in a Cessna 172, and the livery that we have today is the 1956 version. Looks really slick, but it does have the G1000 upgrade. Cockpit avionics. Going to be going from 1 Charlie Niner right here at ramp 7. And we're going to be going to Visalia, Municipal Airport. We're going to be using low altitude airways. We're going to do live time, but I do want it to a little rainy. I think rain would be fun. Our cruise altitude is going to be 9,000 feet. We are doing this on Microsoft Economy. Microsoft Economy is a program, an app we connect to separately. You can actually earn money doing hypothetical jobs. This job is 2 government chartered employees on official business. And it's nice and rainy. Should make for an interesting flight today. Keep the music in the background as much as we can so we can enjoy some of the sounds of the rain. So we'll get the music back on when we get up in the air, but for now, let's go and turn the volume up. And let's get going. So let's do our pre-flight checklist. Pre-flight inspection is complete. Passenger briefing is complete. Seat belts adjusted and secured. Brakes test and set. Circuit breakers check. Electrical equipment is off. Avionics bus 1 and 2 are off. Electrical equipment off. Avionics bus 1 and 2 off. Fuel selector valve both. Fuel shutoff valve on. Throttle open to 1/4 inch. Standby battery test and hold for 20 seconds. And we're holding this. Verify that the light stays on. Okay, then we want to arm. Let's go ahead and turn our flood. Wait, flood turn the power on. Engine heating systems, no red X's. Bus E volts, 24 volts minimum. Bus M volts, battery S amps good. Standby battery annunciator check. Propeller area is clear. Alt and battery masters are on. Beacon is on. Let's go ahead and do the fuel pump. 3 to 5 seconds. Mixture out. Magneto switch to both. Fuel pump on. Start the engine up. Advance for smooth ops. Go ahead and turn avionics on. What do you think? Good cloud cover? A little bit. Okay, we'll go ahead and turn our other lights on when we get to the runway. Okay, oil pressure's good. Amps charging, low volts annunciators not shown, lights are on as required, avionics bus 1 and 2 are on. Okay. Alright, so our flight today, we are going from, we're here in Hollister, California, and we're going to be IFR, low altitude airway to Visalia. It's going to be about an hour and a half flight. And we're going to be climbing to an altitude of 9,000 feet. So we're going to go ahead and set our altimeter here to 9,000. Not the altimeter, sorry. Right? Yeah, the altimeter. It's at 9,000. We'll do vertical airspeeds. We'll just do 500 for now because it's pretty rainy. I could do flight level change or VNAV. I'm not sure how that works yet with IFR. Not quite there yet. Anyway, our parking brake is set, our seat backs full upright, seat and seat belts are secured. Cabin doors are closed and latched. Flight controls are free and correct. Altimeter set. Altimeter, go ahead and set our altimeter. Or 2. Okay. Altitude select. Autopilot. Altitude pre-select. Check the autopilot is engaged. We have the AP. Disengaged autopilot. We've got the blinking yellow. Standby flight instruments are good. We've got this here. 50 MT avionics verify. Fuel quantity check. Let's go ahead and bring up our flight sim economy. Make sure we're ready to start that when we're ready. Okay. Alright. Switch fuel subject throttle. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do our check here. Bring it up to 1800. I do have damage, engine damage that can be done. Magnetos, we want a 150 drop on both. Let's get back up to 1800. There's the left one. Good enough. There's the right one. Good enough. VAC indicator check, engine indicators check, ammeters and voltmeters check, annunciators unshown, throttle, check idle. And idle is good. Let's go ahead and bring it up to 1,000 RPM. Okay. Now we request our taxi. Hollister ground Cessna Skyhawk, November Alpha 653 Foxtrot, looking for taxi for eastbound departure. I would be cleared for my taxi. And clear taxi via Alpha, runway. I'm not even sure what runway I'm taking off at, guys, to be honest. Doesn't really matter too much, because this is a small airport. I'm not really focused on that. We're focused on getting from A to B. What runway is that, though? IC9. Yeah, it doesn't say the runway origin, which is weird, because I plugged that into the flight plan. No, it's this one. We're going to be heading this way and flying out that way. Okay. So, let's go ahead and park and break off. And let's go ahead and turn our nav, strobe, and taxi. Have to throttle this up for the turn. Bother getting the wind direction, not too worried about that. I guess I'm not that worried because last time I flew this flight I stepped away from my computer and it crashed. I don't know what it crashed into. I think I chose my approach early and it took me through terrain because it asked me if it was okay activating this regardless of what the terrain said, and I said okay. I didn't think there would be a lot of terrain. It turns out there was terrain. So I ended up crashing into a hill or a mountain or something. Alright, right now we're taxiing. This is a grass runway. Taking off from grass in the rain. Always fun. I got my rudder pedals going. Making sure I'm staying on center line, center line, center line. Those yellow arrows in the center come to a point, and that's the tip of my aircraft. I need that to stay on the center line. Center line, center line. Okay, I'm going to start slowing down. It is runway 23. Via Bravo. Not via Alpha, via Bravo. Runway 23 via Bravo. Okay, now that we are here, we're going to go ahead and start our Microsoft Flight Sim Economy. I'll show you how we do that. Go to Action, go to Start Flight. Okay, you see how the plane kind of bounced? It means it put the right amount of fuel in there, which is 100%. We have our two government charters on board en route to KVIS, which is Visalia. Now we're all set. We've got our nav, our vertical speed, 9,000 feet, 500 feet per minute. We have our strobes. Let's go ahead and throw on our landing light. Why not? Pitot heat we do not need right now. We're not in that kind of weather. We are full and ready to go. Hollister Tower, Cessna Skyhawk, November Alpha 653 Foxtrot is at Bravo, ready for takeoff runway 23. 53 Foxtrot. Clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff. Cessna Skyhawk 53 Foxtrot. Runway 23. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull out to the edge of the grass here. Give myself 10 degrees of flaps. Do our takeoff checklist. For takeoff, when a mixture is set, elevator trim and takeoff flaps are 10 degrees. Annunciators are not shown. Lights are on as required. Our takeoff departure is briefed, our emergency procedures are briefed, the time is noted, and the parking brake is released. Good thing we're landing at a lit airstrip. Alright, let's go. We're going to rotate at 55 knots, and we're looking for 74 on VY. Okay, airspeed's alive. Rotate. Okay, we're in the green. Positive climb rate. We're 74 knots. Bring our nose down a little bit. Bring our flaps up. We're gonna trim for our climb. Going to make our turn on course. Haven't engaged autopilot just yet. As we're going into the storm, our rate of climb is going to increase. Okay. Down a little bit. By doing so, increase our airspeed. So again, we're just controlling ourselves through the storm. Let's go ahead and turn on our autopilot. Autopilot's on. We're climbing at 500 feet per minute, up to 9,000 right now. Go ahead and turn our taxi landing off. We have our strobe, nav, beacon is still on. Out in the storm. Okay, we can go ahead and climb a little steeper. Let's bring it up to 800 feet. Try 1,000 because it looks like we have a tailwind. I think we should be able to climb a little faster. Plus we're going into the rain. Still maintaining 82 knots. We don't want anything below 74. Monitoring our vertical speed throughout this time frame. Make sure that our RPMs are at 2,500. When I pulled that out, it lowered my airspeed, so I'm gonna keep that throttle all the way in. Pull the throttle out. Lost that vertical speed. Back down to 500. Not quite to 3,000. Not going to lead the mixture just yet. We're still not a good climb speed. We'll go down to 200. Okay, there's 74. Let's go to 300. It's almost like I couldn't gain speed. It's nice that you can see out of the front a little better now. Okay, so we're going to bring it to 800. leave it right there. Actually, we're gonna leave it at 700. And let's go ahead and check out our flight plan with our approach into Visalia. So if we pull up our approach, I'm going to want an RNAV. And right now the wind is at 257 degrees. So probably 300 is going to, 30 is going to be the best way to go. Enter that in. Vectors. Okay, vector, sure. Let's load that. Okay, so I want to know where... Oh, what? 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 Okay, now I'm leaning. That's when I gotta lean. Not leaning out the mixture on the climb. Now I leaned it out. Gotta make sure I'm leaning. Lean the mixture. Okay. And back to climbing. We're good. Okay. Okay, so it's got me going to Intel. Straight in. Yeah, it looks like it's straight in. So let's make sure that's what it says here. Frame. If I say, is it 7606? Really? Okay. Get the... We got the sound on.
Turbo is for sharing all kinds of moments. From post-concert bliss.
Just gonna bring the master to half. Oh my gosh. You know, I think it's the headphone option. Let's go ahead and do the headphone option. So if I go to sound and I do headphone option on, fine, save. There we go. That's a little better. Alright, so we are still climbing out nice. Very good. 9,000 is our goal. We want to get to 9,000. And everything looks like it's tracking nicely. I brought it up to 700, so we're dropping a few miles per hour. Here we go, a few knots. Everything looks good here. Bring it down to 600. It's looking really good. I like the colors of the clouds. They're like orangish. We're going to be flying through the cloud layer soon. That's nice. Kind of like in between it. We'll see what 9,000 has to do for us, but we're at a really steady climb right now. Lean out just a little bit more. Nope. It'll come back down to 400 because we're already losing a couple knots. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful out. Let me cut out this. Not feeling those vibes. Let's take a peek outside. Beautiful. And we're on our way up to 9,000 feet. Once we get to 9,000 feet, we level off. We should have about, I don't know, 30 minutes flying time or so. All right. Okay. So not worried about our frequencies today, but we do have our altitude, vertical speed set at 500 feet per minute. Don't have to worry about our landing gear. Cessna doesn't have the landing gear. We have all of our panels, our avionics panels set up correctly. Pitch trim, wheel, it's nice. Flaps up and down. Switch here works really nicely. Throttle, auto throttle off and arm. That's something I haven't used yet. Got my quadrant here, so you have the throttle, you have carb heat or propeller, then you have your mixture in red over here. Not much to the 172. It's a pretty nice aircraft. It's just a seats 4 people. My passengers would be sitting back there right now. Let me go ahead and turn off my floodlights. Go back here. Like this. There we go. A nicer ambiance in the cockpit. Nothing like flying above the clouds. Coming up on 9,000 feet. Once we get to 9,000 feet, we're going to pull RPM back to 2,400. Level off, make sure our fuel is efficient on our mixture. And then we're cruising. We'll be cruising for a while. Looks like we're going to stay above the top cloud layer, but we are above the major storm layer. I think we're going to be having all the way there, it looks like. Looks like they just localized rain right on top of us for the sim. I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, oh, you want rain? Okay, we'll just lay it right on top of you. Sure. So, here we are. We know we got rain. Let's go ahead and take the weather off if we can. There we go. And just see where we're at. So we're getting into the Central Valley right now. Hollister is more towards the coast, and we're crossing over into the Central Valley. We'll be flying over KFAT, which is Fresno Air Terminal. And we're going to take that south, all the way down the Highway 99 probably. Very familiar area. That 99 freeway goes all the way into Visalia. Now, looks like we have about 50 nautical miles until our Intel waypoint. Then we're going to turn to 136 degrees for frame, and we'll be on that for 20 nautical miles. Now, at frame, we'll still be at 9,000 feet. It's not until... Actually, I think when I activate the approach panes... Where is panes? Yeah, panes right here. So panes over here, right here. We'll need to descend from 9,000 to 3,900 feet is what that looked like. 3,890. So panes is going to be at 3,890. So we'll be descending from frame to panes from 9,000 to 7606 to 3,890 to 2,000 to hotly. Let's go ahead and pull our RPMs back to 2,400. Okay, now we have a tailwind. A total airspeed is 113 knots. It's nice. Okay, so we have 22 minutes on this leg. We were at 20. I need to pull that up. I don't know why it dropped. It went and it dropped. So we'll keep that there. Come on, get up there. 2400 is what I'm looking for. Alright guys, we're chilling. We are chilling. So, let's go ahead and get it centered up. Just nice little view going. And why don't I read a story from 72 Lessons from the Sky? Because we're cruising right now. Our next story in the lineup. Story time. Our next story in the lineup is called Divert. Divert after losing engine due to poor planning. Ruh-roh. Let's go to page 15. Okay. This is a 2.5 pager. Okay. Now, this story, again, is called... well, the book is called 72 Lessons from the Sky. Got it on Amazon. 72 Lessons from the Sky by Fletcher McKenzie. This one's called Divert After Losing Engine Due to Poor Planning. I had received a message a day before from a friend asking if I wanted to make money for a ferry trip. With not much going on for the time being and interested in new experiences, I told him to send more details. The opportunity was to ferry the 172 Skyhawk to Europe. I came in contact with the owner, and over dinner it seemed it revolved around business, with him insisting I do the trip for him, listing all the positives about the adventure. The previous pilot who was supposed to conduct the trip had to cancel due to family issues and needed a pilot at the last minute. I was still skeptical and knew about the risks and asked various questions about the ordeal, but the owner reassured that with my experience I'd be fine. I gave in and agreed to do the trip for him. He told me to meet him at the FBO the next morning. Anxious as I was with little sleep, I did show up. He gave me a packet with all the details and told me I could read it on the plane when I got to cruise. Before I took off, he wanted to speak to me about the ferry tank and how to operate it. The tank held 100 gallons of avgas, along with the 53 usable in wings. Takeoff and landing on wing tanks only, and when I got up to cruise, burn off a third of the left wing, and then open the ferry tank valve and pull the fuel shutoff valve on. The ferry tank will refuel the left wing. I filled an IFR flight plan, briefly looked at the weather, and conducted a pre-flight in an attempt to hurry since it was planned to be an 11 to 12 hour flight. My plan was that I was going to read the weather briefing and cruise in an attempt to save time. The flight was planned from ZZZ to the northeast coast at 9,000 feet, with the first 7 hours going well. The smooth and VMC conditions calmed my nerves for what I was about to do. Winds were in my favor, which expected to cut down on flight time. With previous altitude chamber training, I realized that I started to become mildly hypoxic. My mind was very sluggish and confused. Everything just snowballed from there. My decision was to descend to a lower altitude. I noticed that when I was approaching the Great Lakes region, lake effect snow was forming. At the time, with my inexperience with the area, I had never heard of the term. I started to feel uncomfortable and needed to do everything to get out of possible icing conditions. I spoke with each ARTCC handling me if they could provide me with updates on weather en route to my destination. He advised there was no one else flying in my area and information was limited. I also spoke with FSS. He had reported that top were at 10,000 feet and freezing temperatures were at the surface. My poor judgment told me to get out of the snow and climb above to be VFR on top. I slowly made my way up there. I started to notice my speed decreasing in the climb, and in the cloud layer my plane was starting to accumulate a thin layer of clear ice. I was terrified at this point. I prayed I would just break out of the top already. Center asked if I was on top yet, and I replied, no. Finally, at 11,000 feet, I saw light. For only a minute after leveling off at that altitude, my engine started to sputter. Without thinking and muttering, I chimed to center and informed them of my situation. Unsure of my call for distress, the lead controller asked me to repeat. My engine started again, and I was confused. I told him never mind. Big mistake. My engine then proceeded to lose power, and from there I did confirm that I did have an engine failure. I had no success in restarting the engine. ARTCC had advised that I had an airport to my east for landing, and they were to pause all departures and arrivals for me. He then handed me off to tower control, in which he was giving me vectors for my runway. Luckily, I had a lot of altitude to work with. Tailwinds at the time were strong out of the west, so I told him I would like runway blah blah blah. I carried my speed quicker and realized I would pick up more ice in the descent. As I remembered, the controller vectored me for a wide left pattern for the runway until I broke out of the clouds with a 3-mile final. Under stress, I came in high on the glide slope and without thinking used my second notch of flaps. I then came to realize that I was encountering a strong headwind, so I took out my flaps. I was going to be low on runway at whatever, and knew if I was going to continue, I would hit the approach landing system. At the last second, I veered right in an attempt to land on the taxiway. I touched down in the grass a few feet short of the pavement, which sprung me into the taxiway. The aircraft then slowed to a complete stop and emergency vehicles moved in. They saw fuel draining out of my fuel vent and said I needed to get away from the plane. After receiving medical attention, I had reported to the responders that I felt very short of breath and they gave me supplemental oxygen. It took me nearly 24 hours for me to finally recover to breathe normally. Although my pulse calmed down, I was still feeling the symptoms of hypoxia. They took me and towed my aircraft to the FBO. At the time, I was very confused on why I lost the engine. I sat there and had thought about the possible reasons on why it occurred. I spoke with the owner and another pilot who occasionally does the trips. They told me that they suspected icing which blocked the air filter. They also said they were curious to see if the aircraft would start up again. I told them I would try whenever I had the chance and an attempt to find the cause. After the fuel vent had... Sorry about that. After the fuel vent had slowed to a drip, I requested if I could be taken to the aircraft. I was given consent from airport rescue and firefighting to start up the plane. With no success, I came to realize that the ferry tank was empty, but the wings were still full. I had operated it the way the owner instructed me to, so I was confused. The special airworthiness certificate packet had stated that there is supposed to be instructions on how to operate it provided during flight to the cockpit. Of course, I had no luck on finding that. The only instructions I remembered was the 1 to 2 minute spew the owner gave me. Lesson learned. I feel as the contributing factors were get there-itis, insufficient flight planning, and poor judgment. There were 3 critical turning points which occurred that could have been avoided in this flight. Number 1, hypoxia, icing, and fuel starvation. Hypoxia is no joke. When I learned that it can differentiate depending on the certain conditions, for me, I believe the lack of sleep, eating, and being at higher altitudes could have caused it. It affected my performance and decision making throughout the flight. With the icing conditions I had encountered in climbs and descents, I should learn to watch for weather patterns in unfamiliar regions more closely. The idea of flying a bottom chain aircraft long distances is limiting. No boots, poor performance, no radar oxygen, etc. Doesn't matter if the aircraft is brand new or however much time you have in the plane, it will still have the same limits in versatility. With these two factors contributing to the third, fuel starvation, to my own conclusion, I'd operated a ferry fuel system insufficiently. The reason why the fuel vent was leaking was because the line that pumps fuel into the left wing pumped 14 to 15 gallons an hour when I was only burning around 8 to 9 gallons an hour. What I was supposed to do was switch back and forth between the left and wing tank and the ferry fuel tank. I ran out of fuel in the ferry tank, which led to fuel starvation, resulting in engine failure. I thought it was going to be a self-sustaining system. Overall, it was a difficult lesson learned, well learned. It's a hard pill to swallow knowing that I had perfect recipe for disaster. Theoretically, I was not supposed to make it out alive. I was traumatized enough, I vowed to never let it happen to me again. To never accept any sketchy opportunities without proper planning and research. I could have stopped and landed at the closest airport to continue the next day or even call it off. My will to get this flight done and not to disappoint customers outspoke my judgment. Not all flights go as planned, but we learn that this is aviation. Delay is always better than disaster. I had proper reasoning and so many factors working against me, I should have just discontinued. I was the solo PIC during the flight and no one was there to tell me what to do. The red flags were peer pressure, time commitments, short notice, money, single engine piston over the ocean, and lack of team members to fly along with. As you can see here, the risk assessment was already high before the flight was ever conducted. I didn't need the money or flight time, just breaking enough flight time for ATP. I thought of this as my last hurrah before I went to the airlines. It'd be a fun experience builder. I was wrong. It does not matter what experience level you are as well because it can happen to anyone and I got to see it firsthand on a firsthand account. No one told me to do the trip and it could have been all avoided. With that being said, I'm extremely lucky and blessed to be with the helpful and caring people that day who saved me. They executed everything perfectly and I am able to come home to my family for the holidays. From that, I'm able to build my moral judgment and character on future flights and my career. I feel as I now have the courage whenever I become a captain somewhere to confidently decline if ever situated with a difficult problem, and it will be valuable down my career. I can take a risk assessment next time I'm faced with it. I will most definitely bring up this case as an example for future aviators in hopes they will never make the same decision I made that day, and from that I am gifted to come out unharmed, to be able to take the skies again another day. Wow. That's a scary situation to be in. But yeah, I mean, don't do something that you feel uncomfortable doing. If your gut's telling you, your gut's probably right. Let me turn my floodlights back on here. Get back down on cockpit level and see where we're at. Okay, we're about 17 miles, about 8 minutes from our next turn at Intel. And as soon as we hit Intel, I'm going to activate our approach. Everything is looking good. We're hovering between 2,400 RPMs. Cloud cover, let's step outside real quick. Okay. Still plenty dark. As we zoom in and look at this, yes, very good. Yes, so we will activate the approach. Activate vectors to final. I mean, we're basically, what? Wait, what did I just do? Ah. Okay, so let's just say hypothetically I did that. I did what I was supposed to do just now. If I've got the approach on and I go VNAV right? But my altitude, I'm gonna go ahead and set that down to whatever, 3,000. I think it was 3,000. Let's go back, just be sure. Actually, right here, I have it. Yeah. Okay, if it's taking me there right now, that's 2,000 feet, so... I'm gonna bring it to 2,000 feet. I guess I'll go VPath is on. Okay, we have VPath. It doesn't show me the GPS flight plan anymore, almost. It's weird. It's like, hey, hello, where are you taking me? Where? See, it's down here. Why are you turning me this way, man? What is this? Like, turn me around the op. Select approach. Yes. Pains. Activate that bad boy. Turn me around. I don't know why it was taking me the other way. It's crazy. Vector to final. I don't know what that really meant. Obviously not what I needed. Okay. So at Pains I need to be at 2,900 feet. But right now I'm on VPath, so it should take me all the way to the airport from here without needing to do anything. Should. That's the key word. Should. Very good. Oh, that was a fun story. And as we're flying back, 68 nautical miles to Pains. That's going to be about 30 minutes, it says. We'll see how it comes up. Oh, there's a Beechcraft 350, an Airbus. Airbus 320. P28. What is the P28? That's a Piper Archer 28. Green eggs and ham. Right. Okay, we're 9,000 feet, kind of in between the cloud layers. Kind of a boring flight if you are not into flying. But if you are into flying, it's nice to fly at night sometimes. You see all these little breakthroughs in the clouds. All right. All right. Got a slight crosswind. A little bit of time until we get down to Visalia. Man, I wish I could turn on my head tracker right now, but I can't because I have OBS Studio on and it uses that camera. That's okay. Just have to manage looking around like this for now. Another 55 miles. This is a $1,700 that I would make off this flight with a $300 bonus, which means that they're going to subtract $300 from that. Oh well, it is what it is. Let's see if I can do a direct in, because this has me going like past the airport and blah blah blah. Don't know if I want to do that. Let's see. Let's take a look at the airport. Zoom in on it. Runway 30. Yeah, so I want runway 30. I guess it's not that bad of a deviation. Okay. Good. Okay. There's some lights. Believe it or not, we've already flown over Fresno. Fresno is over here, I think. Fresno Air Terminal. Nope, it's off. It's off to our left, actually. Oh, that's it, right there. That's the Fresno Air Terminal. Gotta be like right over there because he's traveling right to left pretty quick. Anyway, we're still cruising 50 miles. We're on VPAF. Wonder if it's going to be raining when we get there. That'll be interesting. Avionics. Do 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 do. this. So we got traffic coming in from our 7 o'clock.
I'm a language learning app.
Can we move on?
This is a dog.
Sorry about that.
I don't.
C25 Charlie. C25. What's a C25? Citation? He's climbing pretty fast. G Killa? Climbing really fast. Uh, 17 minutes. 17 minutes. I think we flew out of the we're above it though. We're gonna be flying back into it. It's still all around us. It's like they just bubbled us. Yeah, they just put rain right in our area. It's kind of weird. see. He's tailing me. Below me 5,000 feet, but I could have sworn I just saw his. Yeah, there he is. Don't know what he's flying though. Minutes. What's IAF mean? That's a good question. What does IAF mean on, what are those called, waypoints? Initial approach fix. Ah, so I gotta go to panes to get the initial approach fix. Does that mean like I get the approach fix from panes and initial approach fix? Where's Brett? Oh, it's like a little further out. Activate approach. V path. There we go. Okay. I think I can do 2200. I didn't have the approach activated. Weird. When we're in descent, am I at 2100? I think so. We're over the airport right now. Yeah. Okay. Coming in for our landing. Yeah, I'll turn on the cockpit cam. Adjusting mixture and watching throttle as I descend. I need to go down to 2000 RPM, I think. Let me check my cruise, landing. Okay. Power is desired. Mixture adjust for smooth ops. Fuel selector both flaps as desired. Below 110, 0 to 10. Altimeters, PFD, barometric pressure. We are at still 2902. Autopilot, barometric. Altitude pre-select. We have vertical path, V path. CDI softy, select nav source, nav GPS, FMS GPS, review, and breathe. So we are on our way to Paynes, initial approach fix. We're approximately 5.7 nautical miles. We'll then make a eastbound turn back to Picard, final approach fix at 2000 to Hotley to the runway. PFD course deviation bar present. Check. 4 landing seat backs, full upright seats and belts, secured and locked. Fuel selector to both. Mixture to ridge, landing and taxi lights on. Go ahead and turn those on right now. Autopilot off. We're not there yet. Cabin 12 volts power optional. Our landing, our airspeed is going to be 65 to 75 knots. Flaps are as desired. We'll probably be at 20 degrees flaps for today because we have about a 10 knot headwind. Airspeed 60 to 70 if flaps are full. Trim will be adjusted. Touchdown main wheels first. Landing roll nose wheel gently. Braking minimum required. Okay. We're on our descent and we're just adjusting mixture. Throttle is needed. Looks like we're picking up rain again. Turn the music down. Just like a skosh. Just to a skosh. Alright, so... Okay, we're going to want to increase our throttle back to 2000. Okay. Alright. Let's get ready to land the sucker. Bring that up just a little bit, that way you can see everything, I guess. Yeah. There you go. Alright. Airspeed's a little high, let's bring our throttle down a little bit. We're starting our eastbound turn right now to make sure that we maintain. We're gonna be at 2900, so here we are, full ridge, 2100. 2100, come on. Give me 2100 RPM. There we go. Alright, we're turning back around. We're gonna have that headwind. Make sure we're maintaining airspeed. 65 to 75 knots on approach. But we still have a good ways from the airport here. Okay. Could be weather avoidance. I wonder if it's a weather avoidance system, the TARS, terrain avoidance weather system or something like that. I forget what it's called. Okay, so we're now on track with the initial approach fix. Give it a little power. Should have our next fix in about 10 seconds. Four seconds. 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's turning me the wrong way. It's putting me into this hold. And I'm done with this hold. I don't want this hold anymore, so I went direct to... to this. Activate. There we go. Now it's gonna take, I don't know why it was putting me in that hole time and again. I'm back on V path. Still between 2200 RPM. 85, so on descent. So I could be going as fast as I want. When I'm landing, 65, 70, I think. Just says as desired, speed as desired. No additional information. It's okay. It's okay. We're landing soon. 5 miles. 2,000 feet. We have V path on. Approach is on. Altitude set. We should be tracking. There is rain. What does that mean? Does that mean that I'm going to experience still 11 and 12 knots, wind from 245. Barometric pressure is good. So handling or airspeed, everything's holding good. It's just rain. No icing. Okay, catch and glide path, here we go. Well, 85. We'll go first notch of flaps. We'll keep it at 1800 RPM. One minute. Okay, I have the airport in sight. Okay. Coming into Visalia, California. Okay, we'll bring the throttle back to 1700. We'll do second notch flaps. We need to get down to about 75 knots. Here we go. Okay, looking good. Two white, two red. Of course, we're on glide path via this awesome GPS system. Okay, we're gonna pull back power just a little bit. Okay. All right. Autopilot off. All right, we're here. Don't really know where to turn. I think that's a turn up there. Yeah. Oh. All right. Clear the runway in Visalia, California. Wow. Wow. Should make about $1,700 for this, minus the $300 for flying it from one location, like a bonus. I don't know where to park here, but oh, there it is. We can just park off to the side right here. We don't have to go all the way down to the parking area. All right, parking brake on. Flight is logged. Let's go ahead and perform our shutdown of the aircraft. Okay. It's up to landing. It's off. Nice. Good. Better. tie downs, chocks. Don't need to do all that. All right. See ya.